I love how with the 1975, there's just no general consensus. There's people in two camps, one camp being that they are the next Radiohead, and the other camp being that they're the worst thing to happen to music since Imagine Dragons. Hey neighbor, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John. It's time to review the fifth studio album, Being Funny in a Foreign Language, by the English indie and alternative band The 1975. Frontman Matty Healy really put the band through the ringer on their experimental exercise Notes on a Conditional Form, a terribly bloated album that I still outright hate if I'm being totally honest, minus a few songs. In the years since they released their phenomenal atmospheric sophomore album, I Like It When You Sleep, it's kind of felt like they've been backsliding down the side of a mountain slowly and then very quickly when it came to Notes. But this album started to give me a glimmer of hope when not only they started teasing that they might do it under the name Drive Like I Do, which was one of their original names back when they formed, but also the fact that they were trying to do this as more of a human thing. And by human thing, I mean that they removed a lot of the computer assistance. Jack Antonoff was brought on board to produce the record, which also took my excitement down a bit because I was so worried that this was going to be incredibly boring, and part of the band is the lead single was frustrating. I say that knowing now that it has grown on me some, but also part of the band works so much better in the context of being funny in a foreign language. Jack Antonoff may be a pop mastermind producer, but in the recent years producing projects for Lorde and Clairo, among others, I've felt that his production style has just gotten so drab, and it's nice to see that this album does have a lot of excitement stemming from it. This album focuses so much more on the four members of the 1975 and what they can achieve together. There's a lot of rhythms that definitely have that syncopated style with bumping bass rhythms and a very danceable melody that will remind you of their earlier works, perhaps the self-titled I Like It When You Sleep. If you've spent any amount of time listening to these guys, even if it's just the singles, then you know that they know their way around to a hook, and they can combine the worlds of pop and alternative in a very euphoric way. And I'm getting a lot of the results from some of the tracks on this album that I felt on their earlier works, although there's plenty of others that just feel a bit empty, almost like they're phoning it back in because they know this is what the fans want. The 1975 have always been a bit polarizing when it comes to how they stack out their track list, and it can sometimes feel like either there's excessive bloat or maybe it was some of the instrumental songs that they would tack on. But this is coming in at 11 songs in 43 minutes, so they don't leave much room for filler, and I do appreciate the fat trim. Once again, we have the band's title track, The 1975, kicking off the record, and even though some of the lyrics can feel very jarring, like when Matty says he has a boner, he thinks he can't tell, those are lyrics that are meant to get your attention, but I really do feel like there's an intelligent song packed in here. I like what's going on, although it reminds me way too much of All My Friends by LCD Soundsystem. It's almost like they took that track as the inspiration and then found a bunch of anonymous struggles online and then just put them into the song, and it came out a lot better than you'd probably expect. Happiness comes in as our second track, and if it was up to me when it came to the sequencing of the album, I feel that it would have been better served to maybe switch part of the band and put that as track 2 because it fits with the 1975 title track, and maybe shift this one down. As it stands, Happiness is a dance floor ready banger that definitely puts me in a good mood, as did Looking for Somebody to Love, until I realized it was about a school shooting, meaning that this phenomenal track vying for my top spot on the entire album because it's so infectious is probably the catchiest song that I've heard about a school tragedy since Pumped Up Kicks by Foster the People. Oh Caroline feels like the sweet syrupy concoction that I really wanted to hear from these guys, and they delivered. This is a banger of a tune, the bass absolutely slaps, and I love the guitar licks that pop in. Being Funny in a Foreign Language is much more down to earth than their past few releases, although it feels like Matty Healy can't help himself when it comes to sliding in certain lyrics or jabs or takeaways or things that just make the songs not necessarily work quite as well. The biggest example of this is unfortunately becoming the breakout song from the album, and it's just mind-numbingly repetitive to me. I'm in Love With You is a song that tries to recapture the glory days, the cadence of the 1975 at their peak being incredibly infectious, catchy, a song that lingers in your mind, but the I'm in love with you, it'll drive you fucking insane, and the chorus is so damn lazy it feels like a total cop-out. I can't get past it. They really watered things down, which muddies up tracks like Human 2 that just kind of feel like recycled plastic just floating back to the surface and then right back out to sea again. It's unfortunate because Human 2 is stuffed between two of the best songs on the album. I like Wintering for the fact that it talks about these family reunions and how hostile things have become with everybody so divided these days, but Matty Healy finds comfort in his own family. About You is the spiritual successor to a track Robbers from their debut self-titled. It's one of their most well-known, and as soon as I heard the atmosphere of this track, what was building, and even the reverb on Healy's vocals, I love the way that this thing builds up. Do you think I have forgotten? It's a lovely tune that spends a lot of time reminiscing and wondering what could have been, and the backing band just absolutely serve it. When We Are Together closes out the album, and I'll admit that I don't really love the song overall, but I do really like and admire the folkier elements that they were able to slide in without making it feel so jarring, unlike other cuts like Roadkill off of Notes on a Conditional Form that I just didn't gel with for some reason. Overall, being funny in a foreign language is a big bounce back from Notes on a Conditional Form. I didn't necessarily think that they would be able to come back from the trenches and put out something, at least not this quickly in this album cycle, that matched some of the highs that they've seen in the past. And while this album feels like it's definitely indebted to their early material, much of it can feel a bit hollow and simplistic, so I'll be interested to see how the replay factor holds up. But as it stands right now, I'm giving this album a 3.5 out of 5. What did you guys think of the 1975's fifth album being funny in a foreign language? Please hit the like button and take to the comments to let me know your take. This was just my opinion, of course. If you want to see me talk about their last album, then you can tap this card here or tap here for another recent video. All of my socials are in the description, and I'll see you soon for more on ARTV.